if you are at home and you are, saying, oh, I want the Scarlet team to win or I want the Gray team to win, here is what the scoring system looks like. 3 for a takeaway, 3 and out gets you 3 points as well. This is very serious tabulation going on. We'll keep score along, but there's so much to watch here just to get little pieces of evidence. And you heard Coach Day mention it's a long season. You're going to have more depth this year, and that's a perfect reason to watch this game.
And I think, Brady, one of the great things about Ohio State is you can put players in front of 80,000 people. And you're a player, and you've done that before. It takes your breath away the first couple of times you perform that. So I always use this is an opportunity. First, get the old guys a little bit of play time, but get them out. Let the young players see how they perform in front of a big crowd.
You saw Fielding kick off alone, so he gets the first spotlight, and the second one is Will Howard, who battled for the starting quarterback spot at Kansas State. He understands this situation. He's in the transfer position that Adrian Martinez was in at Kansas State. What are you watching today, Brady?
Well, I want to see his command of the offense. I mean, really the two things you're trying to accomplish is showcasing your command, but also the trust that your coaches have in you in executing this offense.
A little T formation maybe for Woody Hayes here at Ohio State from Chip Kelly early on.
I think the official term is robust formation from the Woody Hayes era. I didn't know that was going to come out here.
You love that nod, though, right, from Chip Kelly?
We should acknowledge, too, Coach, they're utilizing thud technique. Can you define what that means for us?
Yeah, thud is when you see the ones and the twos, and everybody's kind of on a pitch count. We used to say the 1,000-rep club. When you get 1,000 reps, why are you still continuing? Because your body just the wear and tear. So thud is full speed until you get to the bulk here. Everybody stay up at all costs. You did that, obviously, in the NFL, and that's why you practiced.
That's right.
You saw Travion Henderson with the catch there. We've seen Quinshon Judkins as well, the transfer from Ole Miss. It's a pretty well-stocked running back room for the Buckeyes.
Bounty of riches. I mean, really, when you're talking about quite possibly the best 1-2 punch that there is in college football.
And I think the one thing that Chip Kelly is going to bring to this offense is expanded run game now. Yep. Ohio State's always had dynamic throwers. Now they have 2 of the best running backs in the country. You're going to see an expanded run game.
That was G. Scott Jr., his first catch. You see what Chip Kelly has done. What Coach Meyer makes his run game so innovative?
Well, for the first time in several years now, you're going to see a quarterback. He is now a critical piece of the puzzle. You have to account for the quarterback in a Chip Kelly offense, and that's why they went and got a Will Howard. So Will Howard is going to be a perfect fit what Chip Kelly likes to do.
One of the most innovative offensive minds in college football. There you see a little end around for Ballard, Joel, for Ibuka.
And guys, what's interesting down here, and I'm with Coach, as you're watching these guys, and everyone out here is a veteran, even Will Howard, but what are you looking for Will here?
Well, this is his first time in the shoe, first time in the offense, seeing the signals, going through it. He's played a lot of football, but this is his first time in our offense. So, he wants to get a little juice going, have a little fun. I think this is the first time for Buckeye Nation seeing him. So he wants to do a good job with the first drive, take care of the football. Already got the ball to midfield. So let's see what happens here.
And there's Q, guys. Quinshon Judkins here, his carry. I'll tell you, I'm excited to see him play this year.
Yeah, I mean, he is one of the most used tailbacks the last couple of years at Ole Miss. #1 in carries, 545 wear and tear.
He can handle the workload, but I think one of the things that running backs nowadays in college football look for is the opportunity to play, but not have so much wear and tear where you're looked at as a depreciating asset at the next level, at the NFL level.
Very business school, a depreciating asset, Brady.
Yeah, can I get a dictionary down here? I don't know where Brady's going.
It's early, Joel, but I mean,
man,
look.
Hitting us with the depreciating asset here.
You got any extra syllables downstairs? How is the weather? How's the wind for the quarterbacks here,
Yeah,
Joel?
it's interesting. That was the talk of pregame, and they had a little 7-on-7 period before we got started here, and the wind is... It's blowing left to right, and actually Chip, that was what he wanted to see most. He wanted to see these quarterbacks throw this ball in the wind and see how they dealt with it.
Will Howard's opening drive as a Buckeye. Little pump and go here. Looking for the end zone and incomplete. Caleb Downs was the closest to it, the cornerback, the safety transfer from Alabama. A couple of guys have come here from the Crimson Tide after Nick Saban's retirement. That 30-day window opened up, and Ohio State pounced.
And Caleb Downs was the best player in the transfer portal this offseason. There has been no one who was more electric last year as a freshman playing that secondary for Alabama. He's a really can do it all as far as the coverage player, fitting down in the box, blitzing, anything you ask him to do, he's capable of.
Third down for Will Howard. The pressure did get there, and Buckeye fans, Coach Meyer, are going to hope to see that a lot this year from guys like Jack Sawyer.
Yeah, they're returning JT and Jack Sawyer to the top NFL prospects this year as a defensive end, so expect a lot of pressure. And the great thing when you have two defensive ends, because I had Nick Bosa, Joe Bosa, Sam Hubbard, Jalen Holmes, that's some great players, Chase Young. Doesn't make you blitz a lot. Right. You just let the dogs go eat, and that means play the 4-3 defense, let them get wide alignments and go. That's a defensive coordinator's dream, because then you can play good coverage behind it.
That's right. You don't have to sacrifice your coverage or potentially any vulnerabilities back there. It's always funny in a spring game, though. You see a sack like that, it gets you excited about the defense, Coach, but what are your thoughts on the offensive line when you see that happen?
And 80,000 people want to see the darn ball in the end zone.
That's right.
Get so upset. It's like, let's go, man. Give me the ball.
Saying nobody wants to see the punter or Joe McGuire.
Not unless you're Iowa.
He's just doing his job. Hey, wow, Torrey Taylor
can't do that.
Appearance.
You can't do that.
I mean,
what are we doing?
Look,
Iowa getting under the bus here early.
It's an expanded Big Ten and an expanded Big Ten conversation here at the booth.
You know, Coach, what's interesting about that conversation you guys were just having, when you got great defensive ends, that's all well and good. You got to have coverage guys that can take away quick throws, and that's where IGB, Igmanosin, and Denzel Burke on the outside are going to be so important. If they can force quarterbacks to just hold the ball a beat, that's what's going to allow Sawyer and Tuimoloau to have a big year.
As you're saying that, there's Lincoln Keenholz on for the second series. So, and there's a botched exchange. Two gasps here at Ohio State. So we saw Lincoln Keenholz in the Cotton Bowl in back of Devin Brown. He's the guy that gets the second series here.
Yeah, and in that exchange there, you've got a true freshman and James Peoples at running back. And at the quarterback, you've got to do a good job. Make sure you put it in that mesh point and ride it all the way through.
To the outside, there is Jeremiah Smith, five-star recruit. Coach, you ask anybody about him in this building, and they gush.
The comment was made to me by the GM of Mark Fantoni, who was on my staff and was with me in Florida. He says, you hate to put this kind of pressure on a player this young, as good a first-year player as he's ever seen. Wow. And I repeat, ever. That's a strong word.
Yeah, guys, the talk of camp, really, in spring has been Jeremiah Smith. Coach, Jeremiah Smith, what can you tell us about number 4?
He's got a chance to be special. He really does. He's very mature for his age. Yeah. You know, physically, the way he runs routes, the way his approach, his discipline, but he's very, very talented. And I think sometimes when you're really talented, you know, you don't have all the discipline or skill because you can really go back in your talent. He's talented, disciplined, and skilled.
Well, you've had a few of them here. I mean, my goodness, it's been an embarrassment of riches at the wide receiver position. He seems to be kind of the next one in line.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, what we've seen this spring has been excellent, and you'll get a chance to see it. He's not going to play a ton today. We're going to be careful with him, but he's got a chance to be special.
Well, I mean, guys, you've seen some of the clips on social media. Here's another carry for number 4 here. And the twos, when they get out here like this, they are in a live tempo. So we'll get thud from the ones like you discussed, and then we'll get a live tempo here, taking guys to the ground with the twos.
Joel, you're down there. You're looking at him. Jeremiah Smith, just in terms of physicality and athleticism, what's your estimation here?
He looks like a guy that's a fourth-year senior. You know, like that you come down here, he's he's about 6'3", 6'4", 215, almost 220 pounds. But it's the ease with which he moves, his fluidity. And from what I saw from some practices and then on their practice tape, his ability to adjust and make catches in contested areas for a young player is really second to none.
I don't want this to sound like an overstated talking about Jeremiah Smith, but I live in the South Florida area. I had the chance to go watch him play at Chaminade Madonna, and it really reminded me of a guy who was in my class coming out of high school. LeBron James.
Really?
That's how dominant he was. That's how so many years ahead of, I think, where most young men are at this age. So I understand what comes along with that statement, but this young man's going to tear up college football, in my opinion.
Here's Ryan Day's reaction to when Jeremiah Smith officially signed.
Really?
Yes. It's real.
There's pictures of the video.
Coach, what's that like?
Well, I remember when we got Percy Harvin, you get those kind of, this college football is about recruiting. And when you get a player of that magnitude, of course, that's going to change the great state of Ohio. That's going to change your program. It's going to make the head coach's life a little easier.
Had the chance to talk with their strength and conditioning coach, Mickey Marotti, who, they do the pre-testing when you first get to campus to see how explosive and how fast you are. And you know what name he brought up? He said the only other player I've ever seen step foot on campus what was like this was Percy Harvin.
Yeah, to this day, I still say he's the greatest football player that I've witnessed on the field. I've been around some great ones. I got the Zeke Elliott. I'd put Nick Bosa in that category, too, in his own world. When you start throwing those names around, those are game changers. Those are college football Hall of Famers.
What was your reaction, your best reaction to a recruit signing? Like, were you a fist pump guy? Did you scream in your office? What are you doing?
Oh, all the above. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's great coaches are great coaches because of great players.
We mentioned off the top, Brady, the quarterback position. Devin Brown now gets the third series for Ohio State. The guy who has been here longest, understands the offense probably with the most intricacy right now and just the program itself.
Yeah, he just has to play and get healthy and play well. With the opportunities that he's presented, he can operate within this offense. And he's got the athleticism to be a part of the running game too. And his advantage on Will Howard in this quarterback competition is the fact that he's got chemistry with a lot of the guys he's throwing to. The terminology for the offense is the same, even though Chip Kelly's calling the plays, and maybe there's some wrinkles here and there with the run game. The terminology is going to be the exact same.
Well, that's the history of Chip Kelly and Ryan Day as well. I mean, Ryan Day is in high school at Manchester Central in New Hampshire, and the payphone in the lunchroom rings when he is in high school, and it's Chip Kelly, and Chip says, "You're not an Ivy League guy. You know that. Come play for me at New Hampshire." And we end up with these two reconvening decades later here at Ohio State.
Who would ever think New Hampshire, the mecca of college? You have Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen was from right down the street, too. Chip Kelly, Dan Mullen, and Ryan Day.
It is a history that goes a long way back. So Devin Brown in the offense with some movement downfield here. What are you evaluating, Coach, as you watch quarterbacks in the spring game other than don't get hurt?
No, I think this is not a don't get hurt mentality. That is when you have a 4-year starter, a 3-year starter. I'm looking for production. You got to put how's a quarterback defined, Brady? Win the game and put the ball in the end zone. Take care of it, of course. Yeah. So, no, this is a much different scenario. You want to evaluate everything in this situation because you don't know the quarterback. And Brady, when you have 7 quarterbacks on a roster or 3 or 4, they have to get reps.
Right.
That's my biggest concern watching this is how do you get your top 2 quarterbacks the reps necessary for the fall.
Yeah, I always say, too, in this, you want to be an eraser. You want to erase the mistakes. So you saw a couple plays ago, the scramble for the first down. It's those sort of moments, too, where you can continue to move the chains and give yourself a position to go score points and be an eraser for other people's mistakes that also helps elevate you in that quarterback competition.
Fellas, I was just going to get with Coach here. Coach, take me to how you evaluate your guys, Will and Devin, in a thud tempo style. What are you looking at?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, you're trying to see the decisions that are being made, keep us on schedule, first down. You want to make 4 yards on first down, and then how do they keep things on schedule, and then also how do they convert on third down, And I think right here, that's a big third down pickup. We get into the red zone, you want to see how he's going to react down there. You want to see, that he's taking care of the ball, but also just how the offense is moving. Yeah. I think that's really important. And is the ball going where it's supposed to be on time? And I think, you get to late in spring, a lot of times they've seen the same plays over and over again. So, that, it's going to happen, but you can't throw the ball into trouble.
And obviously that timing aspect is so important, but also the decision-making, getting that ball out of your hand quickly.
Well, that's it. Yeah, you can't take sacks, especially down here in the red zone. You want to get vertical right there. Right there, you pick up about 4 or 5 yards.
Wow.
Yeah, I spent some time with Mark Pantoni again, the recruiting coordinator or GM of Ohio State, and they say this guy could be tremendous. I mean, he's not physically.
And Aaron Nolan, who's a true freshman as well, just an embarrassment of riches too at the quarterback spot.
This is certainly a bigger stage than winning the Avocado League title in California for Julian Sayin. It's a different feeling, but you were talking about that, Coach, that when you are in this environment, it does change your heart rate, right? What did you see from guys walking into this place for the first time?
Well, you recruit certain areas of the country where they are getting 25, 30,000 people in games. You know, you go to a player from Texas, they're used to playing in front of big crowds. You get other guys coming from small areas, you can see the reaction to them. And then even next fall when the thing is at 110,000. So that is a real issue with some players. Other players, it doesn't matter, but there's one way to find out.
Yep. Third down for Sayin, climbing the pocket, and the walls collapse again, Joel.
Yeah, they do, Coach. It's interesting, exciting for everyone to get to see Julian Sayin a little bit. What would you think of those last few plays?
I thought he did a nice job with the play action, checking the ball down. We got off schedule because, you know, we didn't block the slot receiver. And then he did a nice job scrambling, getting to third and manageable. And, you know, it's a long developing play, that one right there. And so we got to hold up a little bit better in protection. But he's done a really good job all spring. So I think you'll see some really good things from this game.
And his first time in front of 80,000.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be fazed by that, but we'll see.
Joel, what did he think of the Woody Hayes nod?
Yeah, Coach, how about the Woody Hayes nod from Chip?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You know, he loves kind of, you know, being creative about stuff, and he's got a, you know, a great history of the game, and so he wanted to kind of do that. And he always got tricks up his sleeve as the year goes on, so the guys enjoyed that. And we pulled up some old film, and he wanted to put that out there for the first play.
Before the game, guys, they were practicing that T formation, and they were doing the spin into the T formation. All the guys were loving it. Everybody back there, like, don't forget the spin.
Yeah, you got to have a little fun, especially in the spring, and so it was good. And you know, it's going to be fun to see, you know, if we're able to play with multiple running backs in a game this season.
Yeah, that'll be exactly right, guys. With Quinshon Judkins in there, with Travion Henderson, that's what I'm most interested in from a running back's perspective, is how many times will we see them in the game at the same time?
All this talent on this Ohio State team. I mean, it just gives defenses so many headaches. And one of the things, just when I used to call games and get the chance to watch a Chip Kelly offense, is every single week he's got different wrinkles, and he finds ways of getting to edges, setting up the run game. And if you couldn't stop it, he will not be afraid to run it again and again and again and again until you can't stop it.
And it's wrinkles just for your team as well, right? Like different for that week, for that challenge that week.
It could be personnel specific with multiple tight ends, multiple offensive linemen. It could be out of a certain formation or a shift in motion, depending on how you adjust or do not adjust to it. He's got so many different wrinkles. It's one of the reasons why I always loved watching his tape, preparing for his games, because of his offensive mind.
You saw Will Howard with his hands to his head. They're testing out the whole new communication system in college football. There's a lot to talk about with the iPads over on the sideline as well, and rules about that we will see differences in college football this year. Will they get a playoff before the end of the first quarter? See, I have to earn my keep as a play-by-play announcer and talk strategy.
Doesn't look like they're rushing to.
So. Oh, Brady, come on. This is, come on, let's get some hustle here. Get one more play before the end of the first. Well, that's it. Well, it's the Grays so far, 9-3. Strong start for the defense. We've seen a bunch of quarterbacks. So much more downstairs with Jenny and Joel as well from Columbus.
With Emeka, look, I know it was a big deal for you to come back. What went into your decision? What excites you about this group of receivers this season?
Yeah, coming out of the year last year, I was really 50-50 about what I was going to do. And I just lent on the Lord for it. And I was just continually in prayer. And being back here was just, it was a dream come true. I'm glad to be part of this special group.
A really special group. You called this guy, Jeremiah Smith, a freak athlete in all the best ways. What have you seen from him? What should this fan base be excited about?
Excited for everything, man. He has everything that you want, a prototypical wide receiver. He's a pro, how he goes about his business. So he fits our culture perfectly, and he's going to continue the trek of what we have at wide receiver here.
Jeremiah, why'd you want to be here? Oh, he's got to go. So much for that.
See ya.
You know, this does feel a little bit new, right? We're just trying to get guys when we can. I will try to get a quote from Jeremiah and Carnell, but what I was going to say, obviously, Jeremiah Smith, the excitement around this young talent, everyone has told me he just keeps his head down. He gets to work. He doesn't say too much yet. He lets his play do the talking. And then with Carnell Tate, he's just really been one of those guys that they're excited to see what he does in this second year, this sophomore season. Marvin Harrison Jr. saying he could be one of the best receivers to come through Ohio State.
And Marvin Harrison Jr. himself was one of those. Certainly, Jenny, I was going to say, he looked very serious as you were standing there talking to Emeka, and that's how all business he was. He just walked away because he had to put his helmet on.
And I'm obviously putting them a little bit on the spot here,
right.
But I said, Jerry, give me a couple receivers. He brought everyone. Now I feel bad I didn't ask everyone a question, but that's what this is all about. It's to have the experience at the shoot, to get excited, and you can just already feel the intensity surrounding this group, and I think that's what excites all of us. And I know Joel's going to chat with Coach Hartline as well about the potential of the group.
I'm just looking at Coach's reaction for interviews during the course of a spring game, Coach. That happened when you were coaching, right?
Yeah. Back, if I was a head coach, I'd have to check with Jenny Taft when I can have my players.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
If I grab an assistant coach while the game is going on, right?
Coach, I apologize. Forgive me. I'm just trying to keep it fun and fresh down here.
Yeah. Coach Meyer is cringing because we're talking with everyone during the game. I got Coach Hartline right here, fellas, and we were just talking about your lineage of great players, you know, first-round wide receivers. You're about to have another one here in a couple of weeks with Marv. But you got another great room in front of you here for next year.
Yep. Yeah, we're really blessed with these guys. I mean, I think that every year I come in and out, and I just think about how blessed we are that these guys choose us. You know, we're trying to recruit the right guys that fit our room, but in the end, they're choosing us, and then we're very blessed by that. And it's our job now to make sure we maximize what they're capable of. And obviously, the parents, the families are phenomenal. But to then take them to the next level is our goal.
What are you looking for today? Because you got some veterans, right? Emeka is not going to do anything today to change what you think about him. But what are you looking for some of your other guys that maybe haven't played a lot of football yet?
Yeah, it's a big game. I mean, it's a game day. So some guys that are starting in a spring game that they never even started a game before. You know, so that's a huge deal. Guys that didn't play, maybe had a role last year, they do this year, or they're going to, and they're trying to earn that now. So they know what's on the line. They know this is the closest thing to a fall game. They're just trying to put their best foot forward, so it's pretty great.
I know that you've got some really talented young guys, but what does it mean for your room to have a leader like Emeka Egbuka come back to kind of be at the forefront of your room?
Yeah, Emeka coming back says a lot. You know, I mean, it's between him wanting to be here. He's already graduated, so it wasn't about graduating. It was just unfinished business. He wanted to lead this group. He wanted to be his room, and it just says a lot about the room, coaching, the culture in the locker room, and really a lot about him and his family. So we're blessed to have him back. He's excited to lead this room, and with his leadership, we'll be all right.
Appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Brian Hartline, one of the best teachers of footwork in a wide receiver room. What they do at the top of their route trees is scary stuff.
That's what allowed him to be an NFL caliber wide receiver too, is all the little things, how detailed he was, and he shares that and brings that to the way he coaches up these young men, and you can see why they're so special.
The recruiting tradition that Hartline's brought to Ohio State has been, in my opinion, unmatched in the last couple of decades. Of what he's done as far as bringing in quality first-round draft picks, I can't remember that ever being done before.
How does
that
he do
position?
It?
Well, he relates well with the player. You know, he can say, I've done this before. I'm in the room. I hired him. Yeah. And he was on our staff, and I saw here's instant credibility when that guy walks in the room.
Coach, what does it mean to have the veteran as well? Because, you know, starting all the way back with, you know, Terry McLaurin and KJ Hill and those guys, Harris, those guys, it just kind of, there was old guy after old guy after old guy. Chris Olave, then you know, Garrett Wilson, then Marvin, then, you know, Olave, all these different guys. What does it mean to have that leadership lineage as well to a room?
I think that's any room, but especially the receiver room, because that's you have to become an unselfish player receiver to have an offense run. The minute receiving crews become selfish, you see offenses go in reverse, Brady, because they quit blocking on the perimeter, run game goes sideways, and they become selfish players about getting the ball. And that becomes, every young player is selfish. If you have veteran players.
Oh my Egbuka! Wow! That's
Oh, no, man,
ridiculous.
if I could make a catch like that, I think I would be pretty selfish.
Joel, you can
There's your
step up
leader.
there, quarterback, if you got receivers that make catches like that, right?
Well, listen, from field level, from down here, that ball
was
looks like a
ridiculous.
borderline throwaway. And then he goes up like that one-handed. What a remarkable. How about, hey, Coach, how about Meck with that one?
Yeah, that was a good catch. Meck dealt with a high ankle sprain the majority of last year, so you really didn't get a chance to see the real Meck all season. You know, he was a 1,000-yard receiver the year before. It's going to be great to have him back for another year.
Now he's basically like an old beard. He's like,
See this? Watch this right here. Watch this.
Oh.
Well, we got to get the ball to him sooner.
Jermaine Matthews said no thank
Give him
you.
a chance on any 50-50 ball. It's not 50-50. I mean, he just got to get the ball out sooner.
basically, if he's single covered,
throw it to him. Just throw it to him.
Brady, those are the best guys in the world, right?
Yes, it is. And I was just going to say this epitomizes to the reaction from Coach Day when Jeremiah Smith committed to coming to Ohio State. You can see why, as a true freshman, getting that sort of treatment. You get the green light to go ahead and throw up those one-on-one matchups. You tell he's a special talent.
It's the first incompletion for Will Howard on the drive. 6 for 7. We've seen both running backs. He goes for the back of the end zone, and it's incomplete. Igbinosin on the coverage of Jeremiah Smith.
I do want to point out, Coach, so far we're almost a little bit close to halfway through the spring game. Clean game, penalties-wise. As far as no pre-snap penalties, any issues in that regard. You got to be happy about that as a coach, right?
And the ball has not been on the ground, so you see very few penalties. Ball security, what you have not seen is the ball get in the end zone yet. So that's a credit to the defense, but one of these quarterbacks have got, that's how you're evaluating it. Get the ball in the end zone.
One exchange earlier, but outside of that, it's been pretty clean.
I think the crowd wanted Henderson to go to the house a couple of plays ago, but it was blown dead as they play the thud system with the ones to the end zone. And that's a really tough catch there for Ibuka to make.
Man, I tell you guys, the coverage has been incredible. Like field level, we get a different perspective down here. You know, Brady, it's like being in the pocket.
Right.
And you remember those days, and it's like, man, these guys are just covered. That's the way it looks right now from behind the quarterback.
And that's how it looks from up here, too. It looks like that Velcro coverage. Everyone's stuck on everyone. Really can't get much separation.
Well, Mark Pantoni, again, had that conversation this morning with him. He made a comment. This is one of the best secondaries he's ever seen. The word ever is a strong word. There's 6 or 7 first-round draft picks right in a row here. And so when he says that, this could be one of the best secondaries in college football.
They're certainly going to need the depth. And as you look at a team that's trying to go from great to championship caliber, good to great to championship caliber, you have to have more guys, right? Here's your keys, Coach, to being a championship team.
Yeah, we won 3 national championships, but the untold story there, Brady, is in 09 and 15. I think those teams are actually more talented than championship teams. So you would always look at the, it's kind of coach speak. Well, what are the intangibles and the tangibles? The tangibles, of course, are talent. Your quarterback can't just be a great thrower. He's got to be a playmaker, get the first down, keep you in manageable situations. Your defensive front 7, that is usually the difference maker when you get to the big game. A strong offensive line to control the line of scrimmage. You've seen that the last 10 national champions. And then you have to have corners, which Ohio State obviously does. Now here's the intangibles. Toughness, you have to be a tough, rugged outfit. You saw that last year from Ann Arbor. That was a tough, rugged outfit. You have to have leadership because the coaches aren't always around. What are they doing? Are they taking care of their bodies? Do you have great leadership, a great practice team, selflessness, and you have to have an elite staff. And nowadays you lose coaches quite a bit. It's a rotating door sometimes. You have to have an elite staff. That separates the good from the great.
Well, the running back coach position is turned over. Carlos Loughlin comes from Oregon, among other staff changes. Joel, I believe you've got Chip Kelly in a moment here downstairs.
Yes, sir. Standing with Chip Kelly. That's a nice run from Lincoln right there. So you're going to have Brian call some plays here. Chip, why? That's the question, right? I think everybody is wondering that. Well, why are you here?
I just want to coach football. I think in this day and age, things are changing, and I coach our quarterbacks in our bowl game. And I hadn't been in a meeting room. I, as a head coach, you're in a meeting room all the time, but you're in and out. But I hadn't been in a meeting room on a consistent basis since 2008 when I was an assistant. And I had a lot of fun. And it's the best part of football is football, and I love coaching football and getting to do that. I think sometimes the role has changed. You're a little bit more of an administrator, not at all places, but at some places. And you got to fundraise, you got to do a lot of those things. And I just wanted to coach ball. And if I was going to go somewhere, it would be somewhere where the program shares the same values and visions that I have. And I've known Ryan since he was a little kid. So, you know, when he called and we talked about it a little bit, it was intriguing.
Well, it's obviously a great fit because of the guy that you're going to work for. But obviously now this offense that you have, and you're going to be charged with trying to make a plan that has a number of different skill position players that you got to get the ball.
We do, and I think that's our job as a coaching staff. I think we got an unbelievable staff here on the offensive side of the ball. That it's always a collaborative effort, and Ryan's still going to be really, really involved. Like Ryan is not a CEO. I mean, he's a football guy himself. So the fact that all of us will contribute and put a game plan together we have talented wideouts, we got really talented running backs. We got to figure out who the quarterback's going to be, and we're playing through this whole thing right now. But we feel really good about the group we have on the offensive side of the ball.
What is your call it one thing that you really want to see here today?
Just production, you know, and can you move a group? You know, and we're rotating a lot of quarterbacks. Everybody's going to get reps, and you know, who gets to move them, and what do we do? And the evaluation isn't going to be made off of just today, too. It's through the whole 15 spring practices that we've had, and we'll keep going and keep working. But on days like this, you want to see it. We haven't really been outside for much of the spring, so to be here today in front of a crowd, that's a different setting. The wind is a little bit of a different setting, but you're going to have to play in front of a crowd. You're going to have to play in the wind, so we're going to see who can step up on a day like this.
How was it when your former pupil ran over here and he started barking calls? He said, no more of that play.
I was good with that. That play wasn't working. That was a good call by him.
There we go. Good decision by his former quarterback, fellas.
Joel, thank you. That interception for Calvin Simpson Hunt of Waxahachie, Texas, to add to the Gray lead. So you heard Ryan Day and Chip Kelly talk about their relationship. That's from way back in the day. Ryan was his quarterback coach, assistant at a couple of spots, including the Philadelphia Eagles, and he went with him to the 49ers as well. And Chip's little boy's all grown up.
Yeah.
Here.
Coach, I'd love to go back to the conversation, though, just about what it takes for a head coach now in college football. We've seen so much change over the course of the last few years. Is it evolved into a point where you now have to be that CEO? You're not going to be in meeting rooms quite as much and digging into the film and around the players as much as you used to be?
I think there's 2 points there. Number one is that is all true. You have to be a full-time recruiter, and now it sounds like to me Ryan's calling people raising money for this NIL and collective. But what also has changed, too, is the complexity of the game. To be a play caller now, that's a full-time job. That's an 8 to 10 hour a day job when you're getting ready. It wasn't that way. You remember the early days, you know, teams ran very simplistic. Now also in the evolution of the digital phase of college football, it is a complex full-time job to be a play caller.
Ryan Day is with us. He's listening to our conversation. Jason Benetti, Brady Quinn, Urban Meyer upstairs. Thank you for doing this with us. How complex is calling plays? Like, how much time were you actually practically spending doing that?
Yeah, there's only so many hours in the day, so you know, how do you spend your time? And you know, when you're trying to call plays, you have to come up with these contingency plans for all the different scenarios that could come into play. So everybody has a game plan, and you spend a long time trying to go through all the different scenarios. So when you look at someone's call sheet, it's not all these different plays. It's all these different contingency plans for down and distance, certain defenses you may see, areas of the field. And so you're constantly playing the game in your head and trying to do that before you actually get on the field. So you're making decisions in a different environment than actually the stress of a game. So it takes a long time to get organized that way, and then you have to deviate at times.
And Coach Day, one of the things that I found as a head coach, you also have that obligation to go spend time in the defense room with your defensive staff. And if you're a play caller, it's a full-time job. A lot of times that keeps you from going and doing the special teams and the defensive. And I think you'll find out that this is going to be, it's going to free you up, and you're going to get so much more involved in defense and special teams as well.
Yeah, there's no question. You and I have talked about that. I think you're exactly right. I mean, today's day and age, the amount of time it takes and everything that's going on, I just think it's so important, you know, and every year you have to take a look. You know, we've been a play away or a drive away from reaching our goals each year. And you got to be self-reflective and try to figure out what do you need to do to get that done. And the first thing was getting the right people in the right seats. That was the players. And then it was getting the right coaches on the right spot and making that decision, you know, for me to be self-reflective enough to say, you know, I need to be around the defense more. I need to be around the special teams more. I need to do more with NIL. I need to do more with the team. So I think this is an opportunity to really free some of that time up.
And especially as your roster building, right? I mean, the roster build, like early December. You think about early December for you or any head coach around the country. And coach, you never had to deal with this, back in the day, but now you've got early signing day and the portal open at the exact same time. So the time commitments, just from a CEO, GM standpoint, have gone through the roof.
Yeah, and you have to find ways to adapt. I mean, that's the most important thing in today's day and age. And I think that here we've done that, and that's been the support of so many people. Certainly the players coming back and the culture that these guys have continued to enhance, but also the support of Buckeye Nation and what they've been able to do to help us.
Coach, you're down in the red zone here. Just where do your eyes go when you're watching a red zone situation like this?
Man, a red zone. So many games are won and lost in a red zone, and the first thing you have to do is the running back's got to get north-south. You can't take negative plays here. So we want to get vertical. Second thing is the 12th man is undefeated, and that 12th man is the end line. So everything shrinks down, and he makes everybody on defense more aggressive. And so everything moves faster down here. You have to be ready for extremes, but the ball's got to come out and at quarterback. You got to take care of it, and you got to make sure you understand the type of throws you got to make. You got to throw top shelf throws. You got to throw down and dirty throws. I think Devin did a nice job of top shelfing that right there. That was a nice RPO, well-designed play. I think the linebacker jumped in a box and we got behind him.
Did that come out fast enough for you?
No.
Ball, right?
Exactly
Ball.
right. Let's go. Get it out.
That's amazing. That's a window into how a coach thinks, right, Urban? I mean, it's a touchdown. It's a clear touchdown. No, it didn't come out fast enough.
Those are the standards, though, here at Ohio State, right? It'll be that much better. You can see Devin Brown had one-on-one coverage, just man-to-man, and got his eyes in the right spot.
How much faster does that have to come out, Brady?
Maybe a tick, like the coaches would say. It's tough to police these guys, but just ran with a nice catch in the back of the end zone.
And once again, that was an RPO, as you heard Coach Day said. That means that's a run first. He was reading, I think he was reading the walkout defender there. He triggered and threw the ball over his head.
Devin Brown 3 for 3 on the drive, 50 yards, a 10-yard run as well. And Brennan Schramm, the sophomore from the state of Ohio, with a touchdown and the nice lettuce too underneath.
One of these things when you've got that is a nice head of hair,
right?
That's
like a shampoo commercial waiting to happen. Joel, what do you got down there?
A little lettuce.
Yeah, guys, okay, here's what we got here. Coach is giving them, we've got a minute 33. He's giving them 3 timeouts right now, and Julian Saying is getting the series here. So a nice opportunity to see a young guy in a setting he's never been in front of all these people try to run a 2-minute drill.
Coach Meyer, what are you watching here?
Like Coach Day said, this is all production. This will be charted. This will be exactly, you got the ball in your hand as a quarterback. Take the team down the field.
And it's first half, right? So the biggest thing as a quarterback is you want to go down and get points. It's not the end of the game where you got to have something to win it. So not going to be taking too big a risk here.
James Peoples, a couple of touches. He will get out of bounds situationally to set up a 3rd down and short. That was Simpson Hunt with the tackle who had the pick earlier. But this is a 5-star recruit, Julian Saying, who makes an even more interesting quarterback room out of this thing.
And the quarterback position, as important and even more important than any other position on the field, is about repetition and opportunities in situations like this. These are priceless situations for a quarterback.
Hard run for Peoples and a 1st down right through Mitchell Melton.
Clock stop there with the 1st down. See, this is what you see Coach Day. He has not been this active all day long, and now he is in it, talking to Julian, telling him little coaching points, wanting Julian to make sure he understands the situation. Get the 1st down, hand the ball off, get the ball out quickly. So a lot of coaching going on right now.
Joel, how important is this for a young quarterback just to have these reps in this building?
Listen, it's invaluable because normally as a quarterback, and Brady, I think you would echo this, you don't get to come out here and play in front of this many people until the Bullets are live, and so this is an invaluable opportunity.
And just think about the situation, Joel and Brady, is Ohio State's big win last year at Notre Dame was what? 2-minute drill.
Yep.
They failed against a team up north. The big talent-equated games come usually down to this.
Yeah, and obviously your execution, your understanding of what you're trying to accomplish in each drive is a huge piece of that. And Julian Saying, you get to a spot here now where it's 3rd down. You've still got a bunch of timeouts.
I wonder if the wind affected that throw.
Yeah, it did.
But yeah,
it did. It's right
yeah.
into the wind. The wind's blowing hard from basically far sideline to near sideline. See, that one's getting hit by the wind and it got undercut.
That's exactly what happened. It's picked off, and so this Gray defense has a second interception in the ball game. They're going to blow it dead. Jalen McClain doesn't care, though. He's going to the house because he wants to.
That whole side doesn't care. Look at him. All the Gray team down there.
And that was one where the wind might have knocked down a little bit, but it's just a tad late, too. And that's something, again, you're accustomed to seeing if it's a freshman out there, new offense.
It's going in the Gray yearbook.
There you go.
Here's the thing is young quarterbacks. You don't understand the speed.
Ball's got to be out.
Because practice, even to a spring game, the speed changes. And you can get away with those underthrows. You can get away with just using your arm, even into the wind when you're in high school, and even sometimes in practice, because, you know, it doesn't ultimately matter in practice. But when you get in there and you finally feel a full rush, you got people in the stands, and you understand now that you got to get in there and you got to rip it on time. Those are all learning experiences.
And the good thing for Julian is it's a mistake in a spring game. It's not in a real game, and he's a young player. It's still learning. So a little different as compared to if it was Will Howard, Devin Brown, when those guys make those sorts of mistakes. And it's something he's going to learn as time moves on, but you can't be late with an out-breaking route. That's where when you're late with getting the ball out to the right spot on time, is going to impact you the most.
Especially to the wide side, Brady.
Yep.
But he's going to have to sit with that, right? He doesn't have a ton of experiences here at Ohio State, so that's his knowledge of what he did in this game. And now Jupe Mitchell with the catch a moment ago, that for Patrick Gerd, and Lincoln Keenhold's trying to drive him down under a minute.
That's also good for him to practice having a short-term memory, right?
Yep.
Even though that might be one of the things that sticks out, you got to improve upon. It's also something that you can't hang on. He's going to get a lot of reps here in the second half.
That's a good check down right there. I know it doesn't look like it, but we can get close to the first. Now you got to get going. There's a timeout right there.
Joel loves checkdowns, by the way.
I do. Let me tell you a quick story about checkdowns. I'm in camp with the Detroit Lions. Mike Martz is the offensive coordinator, right?
Yeah.
And I come from the school, protect the ball, check the ball down at all costs. So we're practicing at camp. And he's got a kind of an 8 route he's got that's designed to go over the safety, and there's 2 safeties back, and I'm like, oh man, I don't like it. Looks kind of cloudy. I check it down, feel real good about myself. I came back behind the play, you know, with the quarterbacks and the coaches, and I'm feeling good about myself. And Mike Martz is looking at me like I'm the dumbest guy in America. And I was like, Coach, like, what'd you think? And he was like, if that safety was any good, he'd be a corner, throw the post. I was like, okay, well then, here we go.
Wow. So good.
Oh, that's great.
Goodness gracious. All right, 2nd and 3 here. They've used a timeout, 24 seconds. Should be the final drive of this first half. As this goes to David Adolph, his second catch in the last couple of minutes.
Here's what I like about what Lincoln's done so far. You know, standing right here behind him, his eyes are going to the correct spot right away, which is always his easiest and quickest throw. And once he has that, he either takes it or he's immediately to the check down, which in a 2-minute drill, you know, you're 20 seconds right now. He's got to understand the worst thing that he can do is take a sack.
Yep.
So the ball's got to get out of his hand.
Couple thoughts here too. When you get the wide side of the field, usually if you're taking a shot to the end zone, that's where you're looking. If you want to get the ball to the sideline quick, you typically like to work to the boundary side.
Got a little pressure. Here's why, right? So you're down here, the ball's at the 20-yard. It was right there. You've got a, what is that, a 39-yard field goal that you can kick. You're going to make that. You take the sack. He got sacked and now the 32, 33-yard line. That makes it a 50-yard field goal.
Listen in, Joel, here.
Don't do that. Come on, man. Understand the situation. God dang it. Now what?
Hey,
What do we got?
Coach Kelly.
Right. Coach, we were just talking about that right before he took the sack. That's just the one thing that you just can't do. You got to have a plan.
It's just no awareness of the situation. Just disappointing. But let's see what happens here.
A little bit high and incomplete.
Is that 4th down? Field goal, field goal, field goal, field goal.
I got 3rd down, Coach, but you don't have to tell. It's his show. Joel, you want to tell him it's 3rd down?
Our guys are trying to tell me it's 3rd down, and I want to tell them, well, you're the head coach.
Good. So 17-13 remains the score.
To our conversation, that's good from 38. It's
Yep.
not good from 48.
Looks like we got the win from the Masters.
That's
coming here.
Did you say when you were coaching, there's no way this happens?
I'll say this. Let me get on my soapbox and say there needs to only be one window. There doesn't need to be 2 windows for college football. There needs to be one window. I think the 2-window opportunity for players to be as transient as they've been, I think, has created a lot of the issues that we're seeing right now in college football, in my opinion.
And the 2 big words, who would ever thought that 20 years ago when you were in this profession or you're playing, NIL and portal are the 2 words that are most used right now.
But I will say that the teams that have done it best in the offseason, like in Ohio State and building this roster, have acknowledged it, have lived within that space, and as Jenny said, have guys who've decided to come back and go for a common goal, even in an individualistic sort of pursuit.
And credit all parties here in Columbus. It's not just the coaching staff and the university. It's also Buckeye Nation. You know, they stepped up in a big way this offseason to allow Ohio State to have the opportunity to go all in like they have and put together this talented roster and give themselves a chance at a national championship.
I think my favorite part of this game so far is the holder required for a kickoff because the wind is so fierce downstairs. And this defense for Jim Knowles was outstanding last year. Here are some of the names of the players, and we won't see Ransom in this game, still dealing with the after effects, that Liz Frank injury from last year. But it's at every level, Coach Meyer, that they have guys back.
Well, we're going to talk about this, I think, here in a little bit, but you have 8 teams in the country right now that I think can swing for the mountain, can swing for the home run, and that's a national championship. And what's going to be the difference? The defensive front 7. The majority of the times when you have beasts on that front 7, which Ohio State does, you're in every game and you have a chance to win it all.
Joel, from field level, how salty is this defense?
It's very good. In fact, that was the whole discussion. I went back with the team in the locker room, and in the halftime, you know, the defense is on one side, offense is on the other. And the defensive side, there was a lot of talk about, hey, let's just continue to do what we do, make our checks, make our adjustments. On the offensive side, it was a little more salty, I can tell you that, in terms of their lack of production so far in the first half. But from field level, guys, here's the thing that stands out to me. Nobody's open. The secondary is incredible. And so because of that, these quarterbacks are just not finding a rhythm. So everything that you've seen from the quarterbacks that I think has been pretty successful has been more check down oriented, which, Brady, as you know, I love.
I hadn't heard that. How deep is the secondary, Joel, do you think?
Well, let's put it this way. We're seeing what they can do here today, which is pretty impressive, and we didn't even get to see Lathan Ransom, who's been coming back from an injury. So this is a secondary that's even short-handed today, and you've already got, I would say, I think you got 4 or 5 draft picks out there. Yeah. Coach, you brought up, you know, as good of a secondary as we've seen in a long time. I would go back to that 19 secondary for Ohio State, 2019. Oh, almost another one. Almost another one. Guys, every time you're seeing a throw to the far side, that's directly into the wind. Yeah. And so every one of those is coming up short, and the defense is going to have a chance.
You know, the timing was there, just not the placement for where the ball needed to be. But that was a little better getting the ball out on time. But, again, young quarterback still trying to kind of find his way, just putting it into a spot where it's got to be more downhill for the wide receiver, obviously away from the defender. See, Ransom is coming back from that Liz Frank injury, something I suffered through, and trust me, that is not an easy injury to recover from.
What's it feel like, Brady? Oh, deep ball down the sideline and a comeback attempt, and it's incomplete. Coverage for Simpson Hunt, who's been everywhere. Jeremiah Smith with the effort here.
These are the catches that Jeremiah Smith has been making all spring in practice. Just corralled that one in.
A little surprised old Jeremiah Smith is still in the ball game here, but he's a young, I get it, he's a young player. But I rechecked when I saw number 4 out there.
You'll notice something, though, whenever he is in the game, usually he's being targeted and he's getting the football.
I was going to say, I'm standing down there right next to Coach, and they line up, and he's just muttering to himself. He's like, number 4, number 4, number 4.
So didn't he say to you, Joel, that he was going to be careful with him, and now he's getting a run in the third quarter?
Yeah, but, you know, I think what you're seeing, and Brady just alluded to it, you know, you haven't seen him make that catch or get that rhythm, and maybe that's why they're trying to establish and have these young guys find some success rather than shutting it down on what they would say is a day where they didn't get it done.
I think they just handed the ball off to Will Howard.
No, this is Maggs. This is our guy. That was Mason Maggs, number 16.
That's right.
Dublin, Ohio's finest.
Dublin Coffin, baby.
Yeah, there we go.
I thought you'd get to that before I did. You're close. To the sideline, and that's right to a defensive player. It's Inky Jones. That's called an interception. Now, there is a replay review team here from the Big Ten to do point-to-point replay reviews, but right now that will stand as a pick for Inky Jones.
Jack Merrick, the tight end, stumbles out of his break. Otherwise, the ball was actually in a decent spot.
You going to challenge that, Coach Meyer?
If I'm Coach D, I'm just looking at the clock. Let's get this bad boy going.
Well, okay,
stay healthy, get these guys.
And that's
in
what
the
you think.
offseason.
That's what you think about your starters. There's no doubt. There's no doubt, Coach. What you're expressing is correct. However, you start thinking about a potential of a 16-17 game season, and depth is going to be vital. What you're about to see in the next 40 minutes in this second half is what the depth of the Ohio State Buckeyes is going to be. These guys that you're seeing, someone's going to have to go play in a big moment. So that's why these snaps are important over the course of the next, 2 quarters here in a spring game, is that you're establishing who can you rely on in the fall when you need it most, maybe in November, maybe against the team up north, maybe in a playoff game. Some of these guys are going to have to step in and play.
With a transfer portal, you never know where you're all of a sudden, again, having a guy go from being a few plays away to 1 play away, and then all of a sudden thrust it in as your starter at quarterback. That's why these reps right now for Julian saying are incredibly important for the depth at the quarterback position here at Ohio State, but also bouncing back from the earlier interception to see how he battles through that adversity.
Yeah. You know, the other thing, Joel and Brady, is that I was at Oregon 2 days ago, and they had yellow, green, and white teams. They weren't saying first, second, third string because they were worried about losing guys. I guess the line of demarcation is going to be April 30th. That means the portal closes, and that's your team.
Right.
And it's an amazing, it used to be January, I think, 13th or 8th, or players could declare for the NFL draft. Now, what does your team look like? You don't know until April 30th. And a lot of that is getting these guys playing time and making decisions and giving them opportunities.
Well, so the portal opens, Coach, Tuesday is what you're talking about. That's April 16th, and then 30th it closes. And I have not talked to a coach around the country, and fortunate enough, guys, as you know, we get to talk to a lot of them, that is not absolutely paranoid, panicked about the transfer portal period. That's what college football has become. We basically have 2 different sections of free agency in our sport now, and I think it's a big reason why Chip Kelly is standing over there calling plays right now.
I thought what he said to you, Joel, is going to be like a bumper sticker on other coaches' cars. He said, I want to coach football.
Yeah.
That's right.
The job description isn't exactly accurate anymore when you have, coach as part of it, right? Because it's about so many more other things going on right now.
Julian Sayin in at quarterback for Ohio State. It's a first down into Gray territory. But again, with the length of this season, we're talking about a national championship game on January the 20th, Joel. So not only we're talking 16, 17 games, you got to keep people healthy for just a longer period of time as well.
Yeah, and well, you're hitting a sore subject with me. That's too long, first of all. You know, the fact that we shut it down after the regular season and have a transfer period and a signing day, and then we try to play more football is wild. And I think that should be changed. But it also brings up, you know, depth that we've talked about, but also the veteran nature of who's having success, not only in college football, but even think about the NCAA tournament in men's basketball. Coach, I'd love your thoughts on this too. Like, I think it's imperative now to not just be talented, but be experienced. And I think we saw that a year ago with Michigan, with all those guys coming back, you know, for a common goal, and they were able to get it done, and they won the national championship. And in a lot of ways, this team reminds me of that. And as Coach Meyer shudders right now because I'm comparing them, but this team with all these guys coming back, they have veteran depth, and I really think that's what it's going to end up taking here in the next few years to win national championships.
Well, you brought up in our production meeting, you brought up the University of Connecticut basketball team. And you get experienced players as opposed to first-year players. It's obvious, but it's a tremendous advantage to have an experienced team. You saw it in Ann Arbor, like we just discussed. I'll tell you this last drive, Brady, Julian saying he looked exactly like as advertised. That ball's coming out fast, it's coming out smooth, quick release, and he's getting to his check down really quickly.
Did I hear 313 Puma? Did I hear that right?
I'm going to get the read here right now.
Coach, second and third if you want.
What's the read here? What are we looking at?
Yeah, this is an RPO, the same one that we hit with Devin. So Julian should be reading the front side backer or safety, whoever that front side gap hitter is. Let's see, it looks like 18. So if 18 jumps in the box, we should be trying to get behind him. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, we should be able to throw this one right behind him. Wow, boy, he decided to hand it off. We get in?
You want a touchdown, Coach?
All right.
There you go.
I would have thrown it, but we'll take
it. James Peoples, the touchdown.
That's what you like to see, though, too, for Buckeyes fans who have concerns about the offensive line. With the physicality, moving some bodies, Peoples finds the hole, and it's all just drive and effort from there.
Coach Meyer, how about you? I know you had at least one or two of those on the sideline. Like, no. Okay.
Great play. Yeah. Don't do that. Great play.
It's quite the ride. You mentioned it, Coach, about the Big Ten than last year, but how do you avoid getting buried in this new Big Ten? It's going to be really tough on the middle, I'd have to imagine.
Yeah, Jeremy and Arnold at the Big Ten Network, we do a little show together. He brought that up last year. Is of course, Ohio State, the team up north, Penn State, their job's getting harder. But you know who got really a hard job now? Michigan State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa. Those really, really good teams that could fight for a chance, but now they just maybe moved down a little bit in the Big Ten.
I'm curious, Coach, you know, how you view teams like UCLA, USC. We've got to construct a roster now that's going to be able to compete with the physicality, the size of some of these Big Ten teams, and even something that you really can't practice is playing in inclement weather. You know, a lot of these guys, I mean, look, we work with Matt Leinart. He's soft as can be. He can't handle it.
Oh, ouch.
So how do they have to adjust to those sorts of things that are hard to prepare for?
Well, we're going to get a text from Matt Leinart here
in 3, 2, 1.
But that is a reality, and that is something that Dan Lanny mentioned to me in his Oregon about the Big Ten Conference. It's a little disappointing because you're seeing one of the great conferences in college football disappear, the Pac-12.
Yeah.
But now you're seeing these four historically great programs transfer to the Big Ten. Can they adapt? And it's a average plane ride of 2,300 miles, which, by the way, I just did from Oregon to here. That's a tough. Now I wasn't on a charter like they will be.
How far is it mile-wise to get to Augusta? That's the real question.
Man, rub it in, Jason.
Aaron Noland into the ball game. Joel, we've seen Aaron Nolan get out of the pocket here a little bit. That is his given name, by the way. His dad had the nickname based on Michael Jordan. What have you seen from him so far?
Well, I mean, he just gets in the ball game, and for Air, it's about, and the coaches have talked about all week with him, is know where to go with the ball. You heard Coach earlier talk about have a plan, and they want to see him have a plan. Now, this is going to be more basic offense here, but have a plan of where you want to go with the football.
It was a quick set, quick throw. He had a plan. He just misfired a little bit. 3rd down and 7, 20-20. We showed you the scoring system earlier. This has been a highly competitive game. You see a lot of spirit, like team spirit on the defensive side specifically here. Togetherness.
Not as much thinking, right? A lot of these players, even though they might be getting more reps than they're accustomed to, Jim Knowles has been here, whereas the offense is still getting accustomed to Chip Kelly with different pieces mixing at the quarterback spot. So the defense should be ahead of the offense at this point.
Nolan got it to the fringe for Kojo Antwi, and a 1st down. Junior out of the state of Georgia. There's Jim Knowles. Coach Meyer, you've seen Jim Knowles for a while. What makes him so talented and skilled as a defensive play caller?
Well, obviously, I know the inner workings of the Ohio State program, just being so close with Coach Day. They said he's just a football junkie, has great experience. He's coached multiple different conferences against multiple different styles of offense, and it's a very fast system. So they have one word, so they can get in and out because he's used to the spread and the tempo offense. So one word tells them. It's very systematized, is what I was trying to say, and that is against up-tempo teams. It's a one word, and everybody knows what to do on defense.
You know, I think that happened, and he developed that after he went from Duke to Oklahoma State. Because think about that era of Big 12 ball when he was the head coach. Good run here, right down the middle. Beautiful.
It's a touchdown. Sam Williams-Dixon, the freshman from Pickerington.
Really well blocked up front.
That is music to Buckeye fans' ears. Really well blocked up front. Joel, you were saying that Big 12 era was like tempo.
It was super high tempo, lots of shots down the field, and he developed that one-word system, Coach, you know, there in order to combat what was going on with the Big 12, and it's just kind of stuck. And I would just say one other thing about Jim Knowles. I feel like the adjustment that they made defensively last year from the previous season was the reason they had so much success. And that adjustment was they felt like they gave up too many big plays in crucial situations a couple of years ago. Think about, you know, team up North Michigan in that ball game, couple of long runs from Donovan Edwards, the big plays from Georgia in that semifinal. And they came in and he pulled the reins back, and they were less aggressive. They maintained their levels of defense more often, and because of that, they were one of the best in all of college football in terms of giving up the least amount of explosive plays. And when you just force an offense to drive the field against as talented a defense as they have, you're going to succeed quite a bit. And so big feather in his cap, Jim Knowles, is what he was able to do last year in that adjustment.
Jenny, who do you have with you got a couple former defensive players with you?
I do. Jeff Okudah, Denzel Ward. Thank you guys so much for chatting. And truly, what's so special about these spring games that guys want to come back. You want to be a part of this. So I do want to ask you, Jeff, when you were playing at Ohio State, how did this place prepare you for the next level?
Something that we say a lot is that iron sharpens iron. So every day we're at practice, going against the best receivers in the country. And I think it really translates to Saturday. You know, I get an opportunity to go against the Garrett Wilsons, Terry McLaurins, Chris Olave. So those are guys you see making plays on Sunday. You know, me and Denzel got the chance to compete against them every single day at practice.
It's so fun to see you guys back together because you can already tell that chemistry is still there from your time here. Denzel, when you look at this defense, the secondary, the potential of this group, what are you most excited about? How impressed have you been with the way they've progressed the last couple of years?
Yeah, they've been looking good. Picked it up for sure from the past seasons. Coach has said, like, they kind of started off slow last year, not the year before that, but now they're looking good and looking like they're going to be the #1 defense, though.
How special is this place? The shoe, this atmosphere, these fans, what does it mean to be back?
I mean, it means the world. I think that we truly have the best fans in the land, best band in the land. So just being around these guys, top athletes in the world. It's crazy to see the factory that we've been putting out the last few years.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Jenny, hold on.
Yeah. What do you got?
I've got a quick.
Joel.
I've got a quick question for Denzel.
Okay.
You got barbecue back there?
Hey,
and you didn't invite me?
I hope so. That if not, I'm coming.
Gus told me to say you hello.
Tell him I say hi.
You got it.
I love
got
Gus,
it.
man. I love Gus.
I mean, we can't not bring that up.
No,
I feel bad I didn't come up with it.
Anywhere I go, if I see an Ohio State fan, they bring that up.
Really?
That call. Your hit against Maryland and Gus's call.
It was iconic. It was iconic.
That's exactly right.
It was legendary.
That's right. That's right.
It was legendary.
It's great to
kick me out of that. That actually changed the targeting rule. I feel like they start talking about it more and focusing on the targeting rule, like what is really targeting and what is not. So it definitely made a difference. So I was glad I was able to play a part in that transition.
Well, you know what they say, hurt my feelings.
Joel, make sure he knows that was not
targeted. Me in
targeted.
there. As a freshman, I was like, okay, I guess it's time to go.
But by the way, that was not targeted.
It was.
I lost my mind up in the booth. Coach Meyer is up there. He agrees with no targeting.
Right. It was bad. Like I said, it kicked me out five plays into the game, but Jeff came in ready to play, though.
The youngster got his work.
I was surprised, but I had to be ready.
I love it. Guys, great to see you.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
I love the memories, man. College football, no matter what this turns into, it's all memories at the end. For Sam Williams-Dixon, who's going to remember this day for a while, you have to imagine.
Those DBs are two of the best. That's one of the things here is we talked about the coverage. Ohio State has the most first-round picks, both wide receivers and defensive backs in any program in college football history. So see just a small window there into the lineage.
Low snap. We haven't seen very much in terms of cavalier work with the football. Coach Meyer, you had a lot of guys come through here. Who were the two, you see the friendships that build, like who were some of the guys who were closest while they were here and then beyond, like the really good friendships you saw?
Well, there's so many, but it come to mind is Joey Bosa and Zeke Elliott. Both these guys were highly recruited guys, became household names in the great state of Ohio and national champions, and forever they became extremely close. I think of Paris Campbell and Terry McLaurin, two household names also in Ohio and now in the NFL. And that's one of the great things about coaching, seeing guys from different parts of the world come together and become great friends. And a place like Ohio State really promotes that.
See Mason Maggs getting a couple carries, a wide receiver to start his high school career. He then became a quarterback and getting the run there to set up a 3rd down and 5. Ezekiel Elliott is here in the stadium today, Coach.
I still remember he put his left foot in the ground in the Sugar Bowl, and what was it, right through the heart of the South, and we beat Alabama. And Zeke Elliott, from that day forward, his life changed. Because remember the 3-game run he went on?
Yes.
250, 250, 250 against Wisconsin, Alabama, and Oregon.
For the national championship.
I don't want to make you rank the running backs you've had.
Oh, but you're going to. You're going to.
We have time, Coach.
Well, top of the heap has got to be Zeke, and then J.K. Dobbins, and Carlos. Oh my gosh, we've had so many great players. But the guy that started here for me was Carlos Hyde. Up to that point, I never had a 1,000-yard rusher, and he was a beast. He was a fantastic player and became, in my mind, one of the top backs in Ohio State history.
Joel, any positions that you want Coach Meyer to rank while we're at it?
Well, did you do quarterbacks yet?
You want to?
I was going to ask him about the stripes.
Actually, no.
Yeah, let's move on to the
Other
stripes.
Analysts you've worked with in television. Go.
Matt Liner, because my man Brady just took a full swing at it earlier today. So, Matt, add that to the text chain.
Oh, Matt, he knows I love him. He knows I love him. I just know he's kicked up on the couch somewhere hanging out.
Yeah, he is.
His phone's blowing up. He's like, what? Why? I'm trying to have lunch.
Well,
Let's talk about analysts. How about Mark Ingram, what he brought to our
He's fantastic.
Great energy.
Mark was fantastic. There's no doubt. And now Matt's going to be like a new man with his brand new plastic hips.
Yes.
Love it. So we were talking earlier, the touchdown in the first half for Brennan Schramm, who had the black stripe taken off his helmet very recently. That's something that you added when you were here, Coach. Take people through that tradition you started.
Yeah, it was actually started in 2001 at Bowling Green. I just wanted to have, we we don't believe in hazing, but you want to also have people earn their passage. You know, a lot of times I use the term you need to de-recruit people when you get them on campus. You spend 2 years telling them how great they are. And by the way, you know what? You're not that great. You need to learn from the older guys, respect your older guys. They've already gone through. I don't know if you're allowed to de-recruit anymore like we did.
No, I can't say that.
But you got to keep them in line, and they have to respect the older guys. And so we would always put a guy with a big brother, and the big brother and the team voted on when it was time to remove the black stripe. And black stripe was all about practice, work ethic, on-campus behavior, off-campus behavior, and you become a Buckeye officially when they take the black stripe off.
Well, Brady and I were your big brother at Fox, so we took your black stripe off a couple years ago.
It's up to Brady to still be on it.
I was looking at his headset just to see if there was anything there.
It is funny, though, you bring up the comment of de-recruit, though, because it was funny. Like, I remember, obviously, all the attention you get as a recruit, you get on campus, and the coaches who were talking to you before don't even know your name. And you have to make an impression. These spring games are really those opportunities for a guy like Aaron Nolan, who's making a solid impression so far today, but so many others, too, that are really trying to grab the attention now of their coaching staff to re-recruit them, if they will, even though they're on this roster. But so much has changed now. I mean, roster retention is part of the job of a lot of these coaches now.
And you talk about earning the respect of your coaches, but even more importantly, your teammates. That's why I let the team always decide when it was time to remove, because they know. The players know. Coaches think they know. Players
Because you have the big brother take it off, right?
Right.
Was there a whole ceremony?
Well, I was asking him, too. I said, were there any players that you were like, nah, that's probably not big brother material? You know, this guy's a great player, but we don't want to give that guy.
Well, of course, but now you're not going to ask me to name names because that's not going to happen.
Would never do that.
No, I'm not doing that.
On live television.
We naming names? Let's go.
Nice. See, you're safe down there out of the booth, Joel. You can ask.
This is turning into the Joel Clapp podcast. This is what's happening.
It's becoming a roast of Urban Meyer, and Joel's the MC.
Well, Coach knows I love it.
3rd down and 6 here for the offense. Final play of quarter number 3. Nolan for Juke Mitchell.
Good throw right there, guys.
He's got a live arm, doesn't he, Joel?
All right, so 4th quarter coming up. We are learning a lot about the depth of Ohio State. The pride of this program, the Buckeyes Scarlet and Gray game. Hi, Brutus. A few days here at the Horseshoe, and a couple of his teammates downstairs with Jenny Tapp.
All right, well, guys, it's really nice to catch up right now. Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, 2 veteran leaders who made the decision to come back. Jack, you've been vocal about that choice. You're a Columbus kid. What went into that decision? Now that you're here, a part of it, and excited for next year, how does it feel?
It feels great. Having all these guys back, being a 3rd year in the system with Coach Knowles, I think, you know, JT and anybody else can speak about it, too, is, you know, we all feel that much more comfortable with it. We're all excited to go chase after what we came here to accomplish this year and hopefully get it done.
I think that's a great point. And JT, I do want to ask you about how comfortable this group is with Coach Knowles. He's no longer the new guy. Obviously, your defense has been playing so well under him. What is it like playing for Coach Knowles? What does he bring to this mix?
I think you said it, comfortable and confident. You know, with us being the 3rd year in the system, it just allows us to really know him as a coach even more, and you know, just gain more depth in that relationship with him. But you know, Coach Knowles he's a very unique guy, and you know, I don't want him to change. You know, he tests us, and we continue to pick his brain. He continues to pick ours.
Jason, I hear you got a question for these guys?
Yeah, I just want you to ask Jack, because he mentioned being in year 3.
Question for you.
What does he think he knows in year 3 that he didn't in year 2? Like, where's the progression going to be?
So this question came from guys upstairs, right? What have you learned in year 3 in terms of the progression, just your development right now in year 3 going into it?
You know, I just feel confident. I trust in my abilities. I think the first couple of seasons were kind of not what I really expected, and just kept trusting God and kept putting each day in, kept going to work, and just trusting my abilities to go out there and play confident.
Any other questions from the guys upstairs?
No, we're all good. We'll
all good?
see if we can talk to Jim Knowles here in a little bit.
We're going to talk to Jim Knowles. What do we need to ask him? Anything?
Ask him once he put in his coffee. He gets coffee like every single day.
Why he wears his shoes and just steps on the heels and doesn't put his foot actually in the shoe.
That's the hard-hitting journalism I'm going to get to, guys. Jason, back to you.
Those are 2 weirdest and best questions I've ever heard players say about their coordinator. Fascinating.
You know, we offered Jack Sawyer as a freshman from 15 minutes from here. That's how dominant a player. That was back in the Bosa era. We saw the Bosa type ability.
What did you see? Like when you were watching tape and watching him in person, what did you see?
I see the same thing you see. First of all, great family, great person, but absolutely relentless at everything he does. And I'm a huge fan of Jack Sawyer.
And Pickering North is a great program, too, here in the Columbus area. You see Sam Williams-Dixon, who's been shown out today at the running back position.
Yeah, he's had a great day so far. Broke free for a touchdown. Coach, how do you learn about depth other than situations like this? As you're watching practice in October, November, those little peaks in games when you have to use guys, how do you learn about your depth?
Well, I think everyone's got to remember these are 17, 18, 19-year-old. They are developmental people. They're not the 25, 26. And those people, those age players improve as well, but the college, a lot of times they'll gain 25 pounds because they're still growing, they're still maturing. So you'll see a Mike Thomas all of a sudden grow up one day like, wait a minute, that's Mike Thomas now. As opposed to that's one of the great things about coaching college players, the development of people. And Ohio State and Mickey Marotti does as good as anybody.
Joel, this expanded college football playoff, we've talked about it, right? You're going to have to win something like 16 games at 12 teams. So there's just going to have to be more depth, but also you might think about calling plays differently over the course of the season, right?
I think so. It depends on the depth at certain positions. You know, I know Coach Day talked about they feel like they're going to have the ability to run the quarterback a little bit because they're so deep at quarterback with the competition. Nice throw. Good breakup right there. Got a flag.
It's Deontay Griffin, and the first penalty of the game comes in quarter number 4.
Pass interference. Defense number 43. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Guys, I'm here with defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, and Coach, I know they're driving here, but overall you got to be pretty pleased with the way your defense has played.
Yeah, I mean, the culture I think that we've established, you know, it applies to everyone. It applies to everyone, and even though we have a lot of young guys in there, I think they're playing hard. You know, we're getting some interceptions, making some plays. Let's go, Ohio.
There's an example of one of your one-word calls there.
Yeah, you know, you got to be fast in today's game, particularly against the Chip Kelly offense. I mean, things happen really, really quickly.
Coach, what are you looking at to make those calls? Take us through what you're doing right now.
Well, you try to look at the formation. Obviously, you got to look who's in the game right now for us. Different guys. Lambo. You got some new guys, so you got to keep things really simple for them at the same time and allow them to play fast.
Appreciate your time, man.
Thank you.
Look at that. He's seeing formations, calling the defense, and doing the interview.
It's amazing. It's a multitasking. Coach Meyer, you have friends everywhere in this place, don't you?
I do. I have a great friend. Great touchdown run there.
T.C. Caffey with the touchdown.
The defensive staff is not happy with me down here because they feel like I distracted Coach during the drive. So I might have to leave this side of the field pretty quickly, guys.
But Jason, I have Gene Smith sitting with us, one of the top athletic directors, not at Ohio State, not recent, but in the history of the game. And Gene, great to see you, and thanks for everything you did for me and for Ohio State. But what makes Gene, I don't think everybody realized, he played the game.
Yep.
So whenever you had a student-athlete issue, it was so easy to go to Gene Smith because Gene was a former player at Notre Dame and obviously a great athletic director. You're kind of winding it down, brother.
I am, man. I am. I'm winding down. I'm going to get that 13 down to like a 5 handicap here soon. Working on it.
Yeah, some great memories in the stadium, Gene.
Oh my God, Urban. You know, you and I have some unbelievable experiences here, and great memories, great fans, and great players, and there's some great contests. So it's been a joy, and I'm really excited about just being able to sit back and chill and reminisce.
Well, I think the elephant in the room is the future of this game.
Oh,
game
yeah.
that you played and you spent the majority of your life around, and it's still the greatest game of all, but there's a lot of changes going on.
There's no question about it. I think the model for intercollegiate athletics is going to change, but I tell people all the time, you know, whatever the powers to be do, they just got to keep in mind that these are 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. So the game won't change that much, but everything else around them will. And we got to protect them from all the other things that goes on. But it's going to change. The model's going to change. They're going to be compensated in a different way. And that's okay. We just have to embrace that.
I just hope the whole life after sport continues, because that's the most, in our mind and your mind, that was always the most important thing. What experience do they get out of Ohio State?
There's no question. 1% of these guys are going to go pro. The rest of them got to go find a job, or they got to go to grad school. So we can't lose that focus.
Gene, what is it like to sit here and watch a spring football game with 75, 80,000 people?
That's unreal. We were worried about the weather a little bit. So fortunately, this morning we woke up and the sun was out and a little breezy, a little chilly, but Buckeye fans, they'll come out on that, and they did today. And so for have this type of support for a practice, it's kind of amazing.
If I would have asked you when Coach Meyer was coaching here, hey, can we talk to players? Can we interview Coach during the game? Exactly. Is it possible that we could maybe set up a red zone? What would he have said, Gene?
Well, I know exactly what he would have said. If you guys really wanted to do it, I probably would have had like a 10-hour meeting with him in his office, and the lights would have gone on and off.
One quick Gene Smith story about, so Nike came in every year and they would always say, okay, tell us about the uniforms, and they bring in these beautiful black uniforms. Ohio State traditionalists, no chance. Yeah. And I'm not real interested, and I'm looking over at Gene, and they put this beautiful black jersey up, and Gene and I make eye contact, and we're like, oh my gosh, is that beautiful? Yeah. And I said, I love tradition, but I love recruiting even better.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's awesome.
I love those uniforms. Those are the best.
Well, Gene, an absolute pleasure to have you.
Well, it's a pleasure. I really appreciate it. Appreciate everything that you guys do. Appreciate you broadcasting this game. I think this is going to be a unique opportunity and experience for our fans all across the country moving forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for what you did for Ohio State, Gene.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. I'm going to give Brady back his headset.
We've had enough of Brady for the day. That was awesome. Nice drop in from Gene Smith. Fantastic. All right, and it's every year, as you were talking about it, Coach, this game seems to change a little bit, but there's going to be more opportunity in the college football playoff as the defense gets there again with the pressure. Caden Curry. Here is the format. In case you haven't heard, the 5 highest-ranked conference champions get an auto bid. Top 4 get a bye, and then it's a home game on campus or a designated site chosen by that host team. What do you all make of this format, Coach?
Well, first, I think it's great. The fans wanted it. I'm like Joel. I think the season's going to be a little bit too long. But the thing that catches your eye are the home games. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about Ann Arbor, Columbus, Ohio, potentially Penn State. Those are all, that could be anywhere from 60 to 0. Yep. Or if I'm a coach and they ask me this, would you ever want to go hold that game in Indianapolis? I'd say yes.
You would?
Even though this is our advantage, I never want to take that ball out of the players' hands. I mean, you start playing in a miserable...
You think the weather could do that, and even a home field advantage isn't enough.
Really?
I don't believe it is. I believe if you have great players, let great players play.
Joel, what do you think of that?
Man, I like the shoe. Part of it is that I think that the unique nature of the college game is that we have non-corporate home environments. And because of that, they are unique, and it's part of the fabric of the sport. And quite frankly, Coach, let's say you're the coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and you've got to match up with, I don't know, Ole Miss. Get them up here in the cold. Right. They don't want to be here, and you are here. So I think that's part of the advantage.
Yeah, and for the fans. I know we do this really more to find out champion, do it for the student athletes, but also for the fans. Having that home field environment, can you imagine a playoff game in the shoe and what that would be like, and that 12-man advantage that I think they could provide. So for that reason, it's one of the unique parts about college sports that I hope we can keep.
Coach, who do you think the teams are that can actually win a title this year?
You know, every year I used to do this, and I would just put circles and I'd draw the elite. I called it the Elite Eight because realistically, there's not 12 teams that can win a national title. I don't believe so. I think every year there's an 8, and we would always do that. There's my 8. It's Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, the Wolverines, Oregon, Texas, Ole Miss, Utah. Notre Dame was right there on the edge, but I would always evaluate those 8 teams and say, what do they have that we don't have? We have to stay up in that. So that's why I don't really look at a top 10 right now, Brady. There's so many variables right now of how you can get there and how you stay there.
I would say that I think we got to the, with as much parity in college football, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 12. There's just so many unknowns. The transfer portal and the way it's allowed other teams to be able to recruit and get other quarterbacks to help be that high tide that raises the talent out around them. I would say it's probably more 10 or 12 in my opinion, especially with the expanded playoff. You never know in a one-game sudden death scenario how that's going to impact some of these teams. But I think it's a solid list. You are missing a couple teams.
He said Notre Dame was right on the outside.
Yeah.
Are your feelings hurt?
He didn't say anything about another team, though, that won it this past year. Did he have this part of the list?
Which one, Wolverine?
The team up
I had him on there.
He just said the Wolverines.
I'm surprised
the location.
I'm surprised you even put him on the list, Coach.
Well, they got it going right now. They're the man until you beat the man, I guess.
I'll do the promo. You don't have to say anything, Coach. Next Saturday on Fox, a new era begins for the reigning national champion Michigan Wolverines. Their annual Maize and Blue game as Sharon Moore looks to see who's going to rise up to lead this year's team. The Michigan spring game next Saturday, noon Eastern on Fox. I do want to talk to Michael Mulvihill and see if he can figure out if anybody in America is watching both of these.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any overlap between the two?
You have to keep on competition.
People love college football.
Every day.
That's right. And they, by the way, they love Joel Klatt.
No,
okay.
but they're both watching each other. This is what, hey guys, think about this. Rivalries drive the sport. They're not just great, they drive the sport. Why did Michigan go all in and do what they were able to do? Because Wolverines had lost to Ohio State for a decade straight, basically. Now guess what happens? Ohio State, what are they doing? Loading up. Why? Because Michigan just won a national championship. You know, you watch each other and you have to compete against your rival.
And the ratings would prove that. You probably get a lot of fans watching Birmingham, Alabama.
It's called hate
Big
watching is what you're describing, right?
Yeah, that's a part
scouting.
of it.
It's called scouting.
Your competition. Yeah.
Well, guys, this has been an absolute joy. We have 7 seconds left.
But how much time do we have, Coach, until that game, the game?
Well, it's 231 days, or if you're really counting, 5,544 hours until the game happens. But who's counting?
Who's counting? Jenny, who you got downstairs?
Well, this is just a quick little story because I caught up with Cardale Jones, and I absolutely love this. So we got this real truck Dodge Ram crossing out that M. We know why it matters, and I asked him about it. He said, honestly, I can't even say Michigan out loud. I don't wear blue. I mean, the rivalry runs deep. I know we mentioned we're going to be there next weekend, but I just thought tying that all together about how much it means to both of these teams, to these players, that rivalry, and how lucky are we that we get to experience it.
Yeah, we'll see it all the way through the season.
I saw one at Mercedes-Benz once. I didn't see the M X'd out on that Mercedes-Benz that came out.
You think it depends on the car? Oh my God. It's a long way to go for Aaron Nolan to try to create, and instead it's Deontay Griffin, who was called for the penalty earlier. He wants to run all the way to Cleveland, and he's just going to keep going. For the win! The Gray team together down the sideline. The whistle was blown, but look, it's spring football. The whole defense went to the house, and who's going to say no?
I think the Tigers call that a walk-off, Jason.
I think they do, Joel, yeah. Joel, I wanted you to join the caravan into the end zone. Oh, a team picture. Impromptu team picture. How can you not?